This is the Subaru XV. Also known as the Crosstrek, the XV is an off-road focused crossover counterpart of the Impreza. When it first launched in 2012, sales weren't all that impressive. However, come 2014, when the world had a sudden thirst for compact crossovers, the XV found its market. With symmetrical all-wheel drive, combined with a high ground clearance which gave it proper off-road capability. Now in its second generation, Subaru aims to improve driving dynamics, cabin space, and overall quality. 4 variants are on offer, but all models get smart entry with push-button start, climate control, Apple CarPlay with Android Auto, and a reversing camera. Subaru's fantastic eyesight system is standard on all trims apart from the base model, and so is the 8-inch infotainment unit. No matter which XV you go for, a 2-litre naturally aspirated 4-cylinder boxer engine is in the front, producing 115 kilowatts of power and 196 Nm of torque. You can have any gearbox you like, as long as it's a CVT. The design is a lot more mature and shakes off the slightly bulbous look of the first generation, thanks due to slimmer headlights and taillights, body cladding which is better integrated, and a more aggressive front fascia. Wheelbase has also grown by 35mm. The first thing when you get inside the new XV is you notice how much better it is in terms of quality and design compared to the old model. So now we have this nice textured surfaces with contrasting stitching, this nice satin trim, and just the design feels a lot more modern and up to date. Starting with the steering wheel, this is the same unit that you find on most Subarus nowadays. On the left there's controls for the media with Bluetooth hands-free, and on the right controls for adaptive cruise control and lane departure warning, part of the Subaru EyeSight package. Paddle shifters. And the instrument cluster is fairly simple. On the left the rev counter, and on the right your speedo. And in the middle is helped by a nice color screen, so you can cycle through information such as fuel gauge data, trip computer information with a digital speedo, and tire pressure information. On the driver's armrest, 4 power window switches with the driver and front passenger being automatic. And before they go all the way back up, they slow down a little bit, so it's a nice little detail. Electric mirror controls with electric folding. And in the center console, all but the base XV models come with this nice 8-inch color touchscreen unit powered by Subaru's Starlink infotainment system. And as with the Levorg, the system needs a bit of time to warm up, but then touch inputs are responsive. The UI has also been greatly improved, now mimicking modern smartphone and tablet interfaces. Radio sources include AM and FM, but sadly no digital radio. Media includes CD with USB input and Bluetooth streaming with phone boot synchronization. Happily, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are also standard on each XV. You can create shortcuts to your most used features on the system, so they can be accessed directly on the home screen. The reversing camera is nice and clear and features dynamic guidelines to aid parking. Obstacle detection also highlights potential dangers, and reverse automatic braking will attempt to stop the car if it detects a rearward collision is imminent. Above, there's a small helper screen which can display the car's current status, which safety systems are turned on, and a cool little detail, it even shows the headlights, tail lights, and indicators. You can also toggle through different display menus as well, from X mode, engine temperatures, media, and fuel consumption to name a few. Below there's dual zone climate control, with the driver and front passenger being able to select their desired temperatures separately, which is shown on the little helper screen. One push sync aligns both temperatures to whatever the driver had selected, and heated mirrors are also standard on our model, and one push automatic, which will control the fan speed and recirculation based on your temperature. A single gate shifter is cased in this nice piano and satin trim, and it's a simple straight line shift from park all the way down to drive, and a manual mode if you want to take control of the gearbox using the flappy paddles. Electric parking brake. Driver and front passenger heated seats, although these controls look like they've come straight out of something from the 1990s. And X mode and hill descent control are standard on all XVs as well. 2 cup holders, the little slot for storing your key, and a driver's armrest with 2 USB ports and a 12-volt power outlet. So there are additional 2 USB ports and another outlet, in addition with an aux cable in front of the gear lever in the little tray.
Now, I'm always challenged to test rear seats, and regular viewers will know that I'm 6'3" or 190 centimeters tall. And in this case, I've set the driver's seat for someone who's just a little bit shorter than me at 6 foot. And I've still got a decent amount of knee room, but my head is brushing on the roof liner. So if you're my height, you probably want to take the front seats. But anyone 6 foot or under should be fine in the back. There is a center armrest with 2 cup holders, but sadly no rear air vents or 12-volt power ports, or any USB ports for that matter. The funny thing is that there are 4 USBs at the front, so it'd be nice if Subaru shared the love a little bit more. But the armrests are very well padded, and there is room for a standard size water bottle.
Coming around to the back, this is where you find the XV's Achilles heel. So for Australia, Subaru have decided to fit all of our XVs with a full-size spare tyre, which is great until you see how it impacts the amount of space available. At 310 litres, the XVs is easily one of the smallest in its class, and due to the spare tyre, there really isn't any room underneath the boot floor. And if you use the cargo cover, it reduces the space down to what can only be described as a narrow slot. So what I would do is forget this, and then you've got enough space for a week's worth of groceries or 2 suitcases. If you're going to be taking the car on weekend getaways with the family and the kids with all your luggage, then I would suggest having a look at the larger Outback. There are 2 conveniently placed shopping hooks on either side, and folding the seats down can be done easily using the 2 levers, to which they fold in a 60-40 split. They do go pretty much completely flat. There's even a little bit of a step down which shows you just how high the boot floor is. But once they're completely folded, you have 765 litres of space. It's worth mentioning that the actual tailgate opens up very high, so even someone like me shouldn't have issues hitting their head.
Driving impressions are where the XV claws back points. The steering has a good weight to it and it gives decent feedback to the driver. Body roll is well managed and the brakes have a linear feel. It's no lie that I'm not a fan of CVTs, but Subaru's chain-driven unit is one of the best I've driven so far. Droning from the gearbox is kept well hushed, which can't be said for some other manufacturers. Take it on a twisty road and you'll find it honestly rewarding to drive. Even though the car is far higher off the ground than a regular Impreza, it felt planted on the road, and I never felt like it was once out of its comfort zone. Here the updated steering wheel is also great to hold, with leather that feels far nicer compared to the previous generation. With 220mm of ground clearance, the XV gives confidence in day-to-day driving. In urban environments, you'll be able to mount curbs and go through the nastiest of potholes without much fuss. And if you plan on taking it off the beaten track, symmetrical all-wheel drive in conjunction with the high ground clearance means proper off-road ability. Sadly, there's no 4x4 test run close to me, but if the previous generation was anything to go by, this year's XV should be equally as capable. On these smaller ruts, body control is excellent and it doesn't have you rolling about the cabin. Really what lets it down is this engine. Customers of the old model had complained of a lack of power, so they've addressed it by putting in the exact same engine. On paper, the output seems okay, but throughout my time with the car I was yearning for some more low-end torque. If you're just commuting from A to B in urban environments, it's okay. The way it's geared gives the car good punch off the line and around town, but on the highway, any overtaking maneuvers will result in your foot flat on the floor. Safety has always been a stronghold for Subaru, and our eyesight-equipped XV has lane departure warning with steering assist, forward collision warning and adaptive cruise control, as well as blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic alert. And that's the XV, a car with a sorted chassis, great driving dynamics, stylish and a capable off-roader, which could really use some extra power, and a larger trunk. What do you think of the new XV? Leave us a comment, and if you've enjoyed the video, make sure you're subscribed, give us a like, and I'll see you in the next one.